as the reason for her cabinet exit. As the Vice President launches her campaign, observers are drawing parallels to the Philippines' political past. A former anti-corruption official warned history repeating itself within the Marcos family. He pointed to current budget controversies as signs of deeper systemic problems. In global diplomacy, the U.S. and Iran are moving closer to a nuclear deal even as threats continue. Officials in Geneva have begun drafting a potential agreement, while Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi praised the progress. Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei warned Iran can sink U.S. warships in the region. Meanwhile, Mexico is walking a diplomatic tightrope to support Cuba. Mexico will continue humanitarian aid despite U.S. pressure, while all ships are said food and medical support will continue. Meanwhile, President Trump is balancing Taiwan armed talks with diplomacy in China. He said the decision on new plans for Taiwan is coming. Also plans to visit Beijing in April after speaking to President Xi Jinping. And Trump is firing back. President Trump rejected claims by Hillary Clinton over the Jeffrey Epstein case. He denied any cover-up and called allegations politically motivated.
Pasasaan pa ang kalayaan kung ang mga alipin ngayon ay sila din naman mang-aalipin bukas.
Ibigin mo ang iyong bayan ng sunod kay Bathala sa iyong kapurihan at higit sa lahat sa iyong sarili.
Hindi natin mapapalaya ang ating mga sarili maliban kung sumunong tayo na nagkakaisa sa iisang hangarin.
Ang tunay na makabayan ay ang tumutupad ng pagpapabuti ng kanyang mga kapwa, gaano man kaaba ang kanyang katungkulan. Naway magsilbing paalala ang kanilang mga salita upang lalo nating mahalin at tapat na paglingkuran ang minamahal nating inang bayan.
Sa kabila ng mga mas modernong kaalaman at teknolohiya, nananatiling matindi ang banta ng HIV sa Pilipinas. Pero gaano nga ba kalala ang sitwasyon? Ang HIV o Human Immunodeficiency Virus ay isang sakit na sumisira sa immune system ng katawan. Ngunit tandaan, hindi ito nakukuha sa simpleng pakikisalamuha. Hindi mo agad mararamdaman, pero unti-unti nitong pinapahina ang katawan. At kapag hindi naagapan, humahantong ito sa AIDS, ang huling yugto na impeksyon, kung saan halos wala ng panlaban ng katawan laban sa sakit. Patuloy na dumadami ang kaso ng sakit na ito sa Pilipinas. Isang nakababahalang pagtaas. Umabot na sa 500% ang itinaas ng HIV cases sa mga kabataang edad 15 hanggang 25. Ayon mismo sa Department of Health, 56 na bagong kaso ang naitatala kada araw sa bansa mula Enero hanggang Marso 2025. At ang pinakamatinding apektado, lalakihan at kabataang Pilipino. Dahil dito, ang Pilipinas na ngayon ang may pinakamataas na bilang ng bagong kaso ng HIV sa buong Western Pacific region. Isang indikasyon ng lumulubahang sitwasyon. Kaya nananawagan ng Department of Health gawing opisyal at urgent ang laban sa HIV sa pamamagitan ng isang Public Health Emergency Declaration. Kalalakihan ng pangunahing apektado, 95% ng bagong kaso ay lalaki. Mahigit 1/4 ay kabataang nasa edad 15 hanggang 24. Habang wala pang deklarasyon, patuloy ang DOH sa mga sumusunod na hakbang: HIV testing, libreng gamot, self-test kits, at pakikipagtulungan sa DepEd para sa edukasyon sa mga paaralan. Gawing mas madali at mas personal ang pag-access sa libreng gamutan at konsultasyon. Ayon sa schedule ng pasyente, ang HIV ay hindi tulad ng flu. Hindi ito basta naipapasa sa hangin. Ito ay naipapasa sa pamamagitan ng personal na desisyon. Kailangan din nating pagtuunan ng pansin ang ugali, disiplina at personal na responsibilidad. Isang paalala mula sa SMNI.
Vice President Sara Duterte has formally announced her candidacy for the presidency in the 2020 national budget was the true reason for her departure from the cabinet. And by her inability to endure the corruption embedded in the 2025 national budget despite knowing it could trigger impeachment proceedings against her.
Mga kababayan, humihingi ako ng paumanhin. Patawad kung tinulungan ko mahalal si BBM bilang Pangulo ng ating bansa. Patawad kung hanggang ngayon ay marami pa ring Pilipino ang nalulunod sa baha ng dahil sa malawakang korupsyon.
Beyond the allegations of graft, Duterte issued a public apology for her role in helping Marcos secure the presidency in 2022. She highlighted her fears for the next generation, citing the rising cost of goods, lack of healthcare, and food insecurity as symptoms of a failing leadership. Despite ongoing efforts to discredit her, the Vice President declared she is ready to offer her life and strength to restore courage and compassion to the Filipino family.
Mga kababayan, ibalik natin ang tapang at malasakit para sa Diyos, sa bayan, at para sa bawat pamilyang Pilipino. Ako si Sara Duterte, tatakbo bilang Pangulo ng Pilipinas. Shukran.
This announcement is expected to trigger a presidential cycle, but the line drawn by Duterte marks the beginning of high-stakes political battle that is set to define the remainder of the current administration's term. A former anti-corruption official believes that history appears to be repeating itself in the Marcos family. According to him, there are similarities between past and present events. Details in this report by MJ Omondejar.
History appears to be repeating itself in the Marcos family. This was a statement of former Presidential Anti-Corruption Commission or PACC Chairman Greco Bellica in an interview with SMNI News. Bellica insisted that there are many similarities between the events during the time of former President Ferdinand Marcos Sr., who was a dictator, and the current government of his son Marcos Jr.
Alam niyo ba na si President Marcos Sr. lumaos by 68 years old? Si President Marcos
Allegations of abuse of power and corruption. This forced the Marcos family to fly to Hawaii.
and when his father was ousted, that was 1986, 40 years ago, 2026. One generation, ibig sabihin, the 40th year is the judgment year.
According to Bellica, the current government appears to be following the pattern of imprisoning political opponents. During the period of martial law, many of Marcos's political opponents were detained. At present, Bellica believes that critics of the current government are experiencing similar circumstances.
Yung ginagawa ni President Marcos Sr. noon, na pinakukulong yung kanyang mga kalaban, ginagawa rin ni President Marcos Jr. ngayon, pinakukulong yung kanyang mga kalaban. Una na niyang pinakulong si Pastor Kibuloy, pangalawa niyang panginukulong ni President Duterte, at sinusunod na niya na to sila Senator Bong, Senator Bato, at malamang isasama pa niya si VP Sara.
Belhica emphasized that just as former President Cory Aquino replaced Marcos Sr. in 1986, he sees that a woman may again assume leadership in the person of Vice President Sara Duterte. For him, this is not accidental but a divine intervention or destiny due to the intensity of corruption issues hounding Marcos Jr. He also believes that history is now judging the president, especially with his noticeable weight loss. Despite this, Malacanang assured the public that the president's health condition is stable. According to the palace, he continues to recover after being diagnosed with diverticulitis or inflammation of the intestine due to infection.
Noong 1986, ang pumalit sa kanyang ama, babae. Ngayon, 2026, ang nakapustura na pumalit sa kanya, babae din yung vice president niya. So, ibig sabihin, itong si President Marcos, hindi na ito coincidence ito nangyayari. Ito po ay ang Diyos kumakatok niya sa kanya at ang kasaysayan, sinasalamin na ang kanyang nakaraan. Tapos nagkakasakit pa siya.
Mondeha, SMNI News.
The discussion on the West Philippine Sea issue is expected to intensify after Senator Rodante Marcoleta agreed to face former Supreme Court Associate Justice Antonio Carpio in a public debate. Angel Pastor reports.
Following a heated exchange of statements between Senator Rodante Marcoleta and former Supreme Court Associate Justice Antonio, the senator accepted the offer of the Philippine Bar Association or PBA to host a public debate between the two regarding the West Philippine Sea issue. This came after the said that the PBA has not issued any official limitation regard to be corrected. According to Carpio, the debate should revolve around the legal basis of the West Philippine Sea and whether certain islands in the Kalayaan group of islands are part of it. Meanwhile, Senator Marcoleta said that there is no longer any need to file a treason case against Carpio because for him, the latter's accountability is already clear. Marcoleta insisted that it is clear under the law that the country's territory cannot be first amended before he can be charged with treason. For God and my beloved Philippines, Angel Pastor.
To be filed against a veteran senator by one of his own colleagues. Find out more with this report from Sheena Torno.
Senate President Pro Tempore Ping Lacson revealed that a fellow senator is allegedly planning to file an ethics complaint against him in the Senate. In a post on his Twitter account, Senator Lacson said this stemmed from an alleged splice video taken during a Commission on Appointments confirmation in connection with an alleged splice video, which according to Marcoleta, it created the false impression that he was pushing for the surrender of the Kalayaan Island group. Marcoleta explained that the circulating video was allegedly edited and taken out of context. God and for my beloved Philippines, this has been Sheena Torno, SMNI News.
51% of pregnancies in the country are unplanned, according to the Department of Health. The Commission on Population and Development has also raised alarm over the increasing number of pregnancies among children aged 10 to 14.
He has long grappled with the challenge of high teenage pregnancy rates and unplanned pregnancies. In the latest report of the Department of Health, 51% of pregnancies in the Philippines were found to be unplanned, an indication of gaps in access to family planning services, reproductive health education, and adequate information for both young people and parents. This was shared by Maylene Mirasol Kiray, Chief of the Information Management and Communications Division of the Commission on Population and Development during a public briefing. Meanwhile, data from the Philippine Statistics Authority or PSA Civil Registration and Vital Statistics recorded more than 138,000 pregnancies among those aged 10 to 19. Of this number, more than 3,500 cases involved children aged 10 to 14, higher than the more than 3,300 cases recorded in 2023. The Commission on Population and Development considers this alarming, especially since children aged 10 to 14 are not yet physically and emotionally prepared for pregnancy.
Bakit siya alarming? Kasi ang 10 to 14 na ating mga kabataang Pilipino ay one teenage pregnancy is one teenage pregnancy too many. Hindi pa handa ang kanilang katawan. Naaalarma tayo dahil maaari ding abused itong mga kabataang babaeng ito.
Aside from the issue of abuse, the Commission on Population and Development identified several key reasons why the number of unplanned pregnancies in the country remains high, especially among children aged 10 to 14.
Itong mga nabanggit nating datos ay live birth. So, ibig sabihin yung mga nanganak ito, hindi lamang yung pregnancy. Maaaring hindi pa capture dyan yung mga buntis pero hindi talaga tumuloy sa isang buhay na panganganak ng isang bata.
Exposure to social media is also considered a factor in the persistently high rate of unplanned pregnancies in the country.
Maaaring yung kanilang exposure to social media, because next to none, social media yung pangalawang source of information.
That stronger coordination is needed among the national government, local government units, families and communities to protect the government, local government units, families and communities to protect the future of Filipino youth. Teenage pregnancy is considered an urgent national priority, which is why the Commission continues to implement targeted programs for sectors and age groups most at risk of unplanned pregnancy. An official of the Commission on Population and Development also stated that the measures are based on
Diplomacy, the US and Iran are moving closer to a nuclear deal even as threats continue. Officials in Geneva have begun drafting a potential agreement while Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi praised the progress. Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei warned Iran can sink US warships in the region. And meanwhile, President Trump is balancing Taiwan armed talks with diplomacy in China. He said the decision on new weapons for Taiwan is coming soon. Trump also plans to visit Beijing in April after speaking with President Xi Jinping. More news when Newsline World returns.
Isang pindot lang, pwede kang makadyang masaya at easy money lang. Sa murang halaga, pwede ka na tumaya sa online gambling at e-casino apps. Mayroong sabong, slot machines, mahjong, poker at iba pa. Kailangan mo lang ng smartphone, e-wallet at internet. Pero ang aliw na ito, unti-unting nagiging bitag para sa mga Pilipino. Lalo na kung ang paborito mong artista o influencer pa rin ang itinutulak. At syempre, mas madali ring itago ang pagkalulong sa bisyong ito. Walang pisikal na kasino o pasugalan, walang kaharap, walang accountability, kaya't mas lumalala ang adiksyon. Dagdag pa rito, maraming online gambling apps at walang regulasyon. Sa likod ng mga makukulay na interface at papremyo, nakatago ang problemang bumabalot ngayon sa bansa, ang pagkalulong ng maraming Pilipino sa online gambling. Pwede maglaro kahit saan, kahit kailan, kahit sino, bata man o matanda, pwedeng malulong. Ayon sa mga eksperto, ang pagkakalulong sa online gambling ay nagdudulot ng matinding stress at anxiety, pagkakabaon sa utang, pagkawasak na wala ng tiwala, tumataya, pagpapapamilya o sarili. Sa bawat taya, may mga taong tunay na kumikita, mga malalaking negosyante at investors na negosyo ang bisyo ng masa. Para sa kanila, perang pumapasok lang ito, pero para sa ordinaryong Pilipino, kabuhayan at relasyon ang nauubos. At ang masakit, tila matagal itong nahayaan, hindi ito naging priority. Dami ng nalulung at sa laki ng pinsalang naidulot, sa kapalalong umugong ang mga panukalang batas para higpitan ng online gambling, gaya ng pagbabawal sa paggamit ng e-wallets para tumaya, pagtaas ng minimum bet, mas mahigpit na identity verification, pag-block ng mga illegal na gambling sites, at bawasan o ipagbawal ang mga ads na target ang kabataan. Maaari itong magmukhang laro lang, pero sa katotohanan, isa itong sugal sa kinabukasan, ang kita na dapat sa mga pangunahing pangangailangan o ipon na udikta sa iyong buhay. Isang paalala mula sa SMNI.
In a significant step toward de-escalation, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi talks in Geneva. Foreign Minister issued a chilling warning to the United States, claiming Iran possesses weapons capable of sinking American warships currently deployed in the region. Carla Abellana for the updates.
The halls of the Omani diplomatic mission in Geneva became the stage for a potential historic breakthrough. as that both sides have reached a general understanding deal. While he cautioned that a final agreement is not yet imminent, the transition from talking to writing marks involvement in the process.
و نهایتاً ما بر یک سری اصول بر اساس اون اصول حرکت خواهیم شد. این معنیش این نیست که ما به سرعت میتونیم به توافق برسیم ولی حداقل مسیر شروع شده.
However, the progress of the negotiating table stands in stark contrast to the rhetoric coming from Tehran. Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei delivered a televised address on Tuesday, pointedly referencing the U.S. military build-up in the Persian Gulf. In a veiled threat against the U.S., Abraham Lincoln Khamenei declared that Iran has weapons more dangerous than any warship. He also warned against foolish assumptions about the outcome of the Geneva talks, insisting that no result should be predetermined.
میگن ما ناو فرستادیم طرف ایران. خیلی خوب. ناو البته یک دستگاه خطرناکی است. اما خطرناکتر از ناو اون سلاحی است که میتوانه این ناو رو به قعر دریا. رئیس جمهور آمریکا در یکی از صحبت‌های اخیرش گفته که اسلامی رو از بین ببره. شکایت کرده به مردم خودش. 47 ساله که آمریکا نتوانست جمهوری اسلامی از بین ببره. این اعتراف خوبی است. بنده میگم تو هم نخواهی توانست این کار رو بکنی.
Foreign Ministry spokesperson Ismail Baki clarified that presence of IAEA Director General Rafael Grossi has been instrumental in navigating the technical nuances of the nuclear field. While the drafting process is expected to be lengthy and challenging, both sides have agreed to exchange text before setting a date for a third round of negotiations. As US B-2 bombers and carrier groups remain on high alert in the region, the world watches to see if the pen can truly overcome the sword in this long-standing conflict. For God in my beloved Philippines, Carla Abellana reporting for Newsline World.
U.S. President
and we'll make a determination pretty soon. And we'll make a determination pretty soon. Tell us about your
expects to visit China, signaling continued diplomatic engagement between the two countries amid ongoing tensions over Taiwan.
In fact, I'll be going, I guess, in April.
The remarks come as Washington and Beijing continue to navigate sensitive issues surrounding Taiwan and regional security. The South African government is moving decisively to end the threat of foot and mouth disease, or FMD, by launching an unprecedented nationwide vaccination campaign, Val de Venegracia reports.
Equipped with millions of vaccine doses, Agriculture Minister Johnston Heason personally visited a farm in Vicente Kral to kick off a proactive version of the outbreak as a national disaster. The Department of Agriculture national herd has successfully eradicated the virus. Stin Heason confirmed that this effort marks the largest vaccine procurement in South Africa's history, with over 2 million doses imported last year, alongside millions more arriving from Argentina and Turkey to supplement local production.
It's a number of phases. The first is ensuring that we vaccinate the entire national herd of animals around the country. So proactively, we'll get ahead of foot and mouth disease rather than going around the country trying to chase the disease wherever it breaks out.
The FMD crisis has dealt a heavy blow to the economy, leading countries like China, Zimbabwe, Namibia and Botswana to suspend all meat imports from South Africa. In response, President Ramaphosa utilized his State of the Nation address to declare a national disaster, freeing up resources for their massive logistics operation. The ultimate goal is to reach a vaccination threshold that allows South Africa to apply for FMD-free with vaccination status from the World Organization for Animal Health. Officials believe this certification is the key to unlocking markets that have been closed to South African red meat for decades.
This will then open up markets that have been closed to us for decades to be able to export red meat. And that's when the real value starts to kick in terms of the value chain.
Veterinary teams are currently prioritizing high-risk zones in Gauteng, KwaZulu-Natal, and the Free State, where the outbreak has been most persistent. By shifting from a reactive chasing the disease approach to a proactive prevention model, the government hopes to provide long-term certainty to farmers and stakeholders. As the vaccination drive gains momentum, South Africa's agricultural sector looks toward a future where its red meat can once again compete on the global stage. Reporting for Newsline World, this is Valdivina Gracia, SMNI News.
Kim Jong-un presided over the inauguration of Saipyeol Street or Morning Star in Pyongyang on Monday, a new residential area honoring families of fallen soldiers, including those who fought for Russia against Ukraine. Joy Tabanao has the story.
A home for families of North Korea's fallen soldiers given by Kim Jong-un himself. During the ceremony, Kim toured the newly completed neighborhood, inspecting modern apartment blocks and public spaces built for military families. State media highlighted the development as a symbol of a regime's care, presenting it as a tribute to the families of fallen soldiers, including those who fought for Russia in the 2024 to 2025 battles in the Kursk region. The street, officially named Saipyeol or Morning Star, features new housing units, parks, and cultural amenities intended to improve living conditions for relatives of fallen soldiers. Photographs and footage released. The inauguration aligns with broader efforts by the North Korean government to showcase domestic achievements and reinforce national pride amid ongoing international tensions. Joy Tabanao, your citizen correspondent reporting for Newsline World.
When we return, Mexico confirmed it will continue humanitarian aid despite U.S. pressure, while all shipments are suspended. President Claudia Sheinbaum said food and medical support will continue. And Trump is firing back. President Trump rejected claims by Hillary Clinton over the Jeffrey Epstein case. He denied any cover-up and called the allegations politically motivated. More news after the break.
Pasasaan pa ang kalayaan kung ang mga alipin ngayon ay sila din naman mang-aalipin bukas.
Ibigin mo ang iyong bayan ng sunod kay Bathala, sa iyong kapurihan at higit sa lahat sa iyong sarili.
Hindi natin
Ang tunay na makabayan ay ang tumutupad ng pagpapabuti ng kanyang mga kapwa, gaano man kaaba ang kanyang katungkulan. Naway magsilbing paalala ang kanilang mga salita upang lalo nating mahalin at tapat na paglingkuran ang minamahal nating inang bayan.
Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum has confirmed that Mexico will remain a lifeline for Cuba through humanitarian aid, even as the country bows to...
With a deepening energy crisis and 12-hour daily blackouts, Mexican naval vessels continue to dock in Havana, but their cargo has changed. Speaking from the National Palace, President Claudia Sheinbaum revealed that while food and essential supplies will continue to flow to Havana, fuel is temporarily off the table to avoid crippling tariffs from the Trump administration. Meanwhile, Mexico is preparing to send its UN ambassador to Washington as an observer for the upcoming Board of Peace Summit on Gaza. Canada. Sheinbaum announced that Mexico will persist with its humanitarian policy, sending 814 tons of food, milk, and hygiene items to the island. However, for the first time in months, these ships do not carry the crude oil Cuba desperately needs. The shift comes after U.S. President Donald Trump signed an executive order for additional tariffs on any nation supplying oil to the island, a move Sheinbaum openly criticized but ultimately complied to protect the Mexican economy.
Sí, vamos a seguir enviando ayuda humanitaria, alimentación y algunas otros solicitudes que nos ha hecho el gobierno cubano que necesita a su pueblo. No, por lo pronto no vamos a enviar combustibles, aunque tiene que quedar de aranceles a los países que venden petróleo a Cuba.
By balancing humanitarian solidarity with Cuba and cautious presence at Trump's peace table, the Sheinbaum administration is attempting to maintain its domestic principles without triggering a trade war with its northern neighbor. Reporting for Newsline World, Almar Forsuelo, SMNI News.
Peru is reeling from a fresh wave of political instability after Congress voted to remove interim President Jose Heri from office. More on this report from Jane Cunita.
In an extraordinary session marked by intense debate, the Peruvian Congress delivered a decisive blow to the short-lived presidency of Jose Heri. Citing serious allegations of influence peddling and moral incapacity, lawmakers approved the censure motion just weeks before the nation's general elections. With the presidency now vacant, the country prepares to appoint yet another temporary leader to steer the transition until July. With 75 votes in favor, the legislature approved 7 censure motions that forced Heri to step down immediately. The move follows a series of scandals, including Shifagate, where Heri was caught on camera in a clandestine meeting with a Chinese businessman. Prosecutors are also investigating claims of illegal lobbying and the irregular hiring of several women into government posts during his 4-month tenure.
Han votado a favor 75 congresistas, 24 en contra y 3 abstenciones. Señores congresistas, las mociones de censura al presidente del Congreso de la República, encargado de la presidencia de la República, señor José Enrique Heri Oré, han sido aprobadas.
Jose Heri assumed the presidency in October 2025, following the removal of Dina Boluarte, but his term was marred by plummeting approval ratings and a surge in violent crime. Critics, including Congresswoman Susel Paredes, describe his administration as a machine of errors, while others argued he lacked the ethical suitability required for the highest office. Heri's removal marks a grim milestone for Peru, which has burned through 9 heads of state in the last 10 years.
Al señor José Heri se sustenta en su manifiesta y grave falta de idoneidad para mantenerse en el cargo de presidente del Congreso y como tal encargado de la presidencia del país.
The current president of Congress, Fernando Rospigliosi, has declined to assume the presidency, prompting lawmakers to schedule a new vote for Wednesday evening to elect a successor. The incoming interim leader will be tasked with overseeing the general election scheduled for April 12 and managing the country until the new president is sworn in on July 28. Despite the ouster, Heri denies any wrongdoing and claims he is the victim of a political plot to destabilize the upcoming electoral process. The citizen correspondent reporting for Newsline World.
U.S. President Donald Trump is pushing back against claims by former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton that his administration may have something to hide regarding the Jeffrey Epstein case. Asked about Clinton's remarks suggesting she and former President Bill Clinton are being drawn into the Epstein matter to divert attention from him, Trump firmly denied any wrongdoing. He insists he has nothing to hide and insisted he has been totally exonerated in connection to Jeffrey Epstein.
Nothing to hide. I've been exonerated. I have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. They went in hoping that they'd find it and found just the opposite. I've been totally exonerated. In fact, Jeffrey Epstein was fighting that I don't get elected with some author, a sleazebag, by the way, and I've been totally exonerated.
Trump claimed investigations found no evidence tying to Epstein and suggested that Clinton and other Democrats are now facing scrutiny themselves. He also criticized Hillary Clinton personally, saying she suffers from what he called Trump derangement syndrome.
No, they're getting pulled in, and that's their problem. I don't know, they're going to have to see what happens. But I watched her in Munich, and she seriously has Trump derangement syndrome.
Reality television personality Louise Thompson has shared an emotional update about her plans to expand her family with her fiancé Ryan Libby. Meanwhile, Taiwanese television host Dee Su is returning to her talk show after nearly a year away from the spotlight. Blake Ann has all the buzz.
During a heartfelt conversation with Ryan Libby, Louise Thompson became emotional as she explained her decision to forgo adoption in favor of pursuing IVF and surrogacy. The couple, both 35, recently revealed their intention to grow their family after a traumatic birth experience in 2021. Thompson nearly lost her life while delivering their son Leo following an emergency cesarean section. The experience has significantly influenced their approach to having more children. Despite the challenges, Thompson has been open about her journey and said she and Libby are hopeful about the next chapter in their family life. The couple continues to share updates with fans as they navigate fertility options and recovery from past medical complications. 47-year-old Dee Shu, also known as Little S, had stepped back from work following the death of her elder sister, actress Barbie Shu. Barbie Shu passed away at the age of 48 in February 2025 due to pneumonia while on a family trip to Japan. On February 13, Dee Shu took to social media to announce her return, sharing a photo of herself back in the studio for her talk show, The Girls Talk. Her comeback marks a significant step forward after a period of mourning and personal reflection. Fans have expressed support for the host as she resumes her career following a difficult year. And that's all for now. I'm Blake Ann, bringing you the latest showbiz.
Who says only humans can take part in parade? In Brazil, dozens of custom dogs and their owners added a heartwarming and socially conscious twist to this year's Rio Carnival, joining the beloved street party known as Blue Cow in Rio de Janeiro. Stella Maris has the story.
In one of Carnival's most endearing moments, around 300 people and their pet dogs gathered on Saturday, February 14, 2026, in the Baía da Tijuca neighborhood during this year's Rio Carnival. Canines dressed as everything from superheroes to fairies and alligators danced to samba rhythms, celebrating alongside their human companions. The event, part of Rio's sprawling carnival street party scene, is a long-time tradition, with this year's edition doubling as an expression of protest against animal cruelty. Organizers and participants highlighted the emotional bond between pets and people, emphasizing that dogs are cherished family members deserving of care and respect. Hydration stations and shaded areas were also set up to protect the animals from Rio's summer heat, which reached about 30 degrees Celsius during the festivities. Adding a poignant note to the celebration, participants paid tribute to Orella, a dog whose violent death in southern Brazil earlier this year sparked national outrage. Attendees waved white ribbons and voiced calls for greater awareness and accountability in animal protection. The name Blue Cow blends the Portuguese words bloco, which means carnival street party, and cow, which means dog. And the canine parade has been a part of Rio's carnival culture for more than 2 decades, delighting locals and visitors alike while shining a spotlight on issues of compassion and welfare for pets. This has been Stella Maris, your citizen correspondent, reporting for Newsline World.
And before we end, may you be inspired with the words of the sun. Do what is right, defend what is right, die for what is right.